Give some other examples here. This is a very recent case, and I just give you this to show how this can work out. This was an article that I saw, and the person is very, very upset because it is and they're going, you see, Muslims allow men to rape their wives. And going, this is what all Muslim men must believe, and I don't believe that that is true. And many people see this and go, you see, this is bad. This is why Islam must be stopped. And you can, I want to post this, you can see it. And then people look at, this is true, here's the Lebanese criminal code. And it allows for marital rape, or rather it doesn't even consider it as rape. Well, this stipulates the state will not prosecute a rapist and will nullify his conviction if the rapist marries his victim. Can you believe this still goes on? Wow, I mean, the United States must have outlawed marital rape, what?
Never.
How long ago? No, we actually have, believe it or not. Believe it or not, it is
10 years.
I mean, yeah, but think about it. It's like, it is easy to see this and go, oh my goodness. But how long ago was it before the U.S. actually outlawed this?
Wasn't it late 70s?
Yeah, late 70s. It wasn't until the late 70s that the U.S. actually was like, yeah, it's probably a bad idea. I mean, think about this. We're saying we're this beacon of democracy, this beacon of rights, and we're trying to criticize these other countries, but it's like, wait a second, we have stuff that we need to, or you can do, how long ago was the U.S. still doing forced sterilizations?
That was like the whole eugenics movement in like the 30s.
So you think it ended in the 30s?
No, that's what really.
I mean,
to the 70s, right? Wasn't it late 60s or something?
I think I actually went a little bit later, but I'm trying to remember the date off the top of my head. But I'm trying to pick something that we look at other cultures and go, can you believe they still allow X? And then go, wait a second, do we still allow that? Oops. Right, this is sort of, it's easy for us to cast stones, but it's harder to go, wait a second, we don't really have that good of track record as well. And so this is going to be this is going to be one of the issues we're going to look at, is to go, this is what groups do. They look at the other group and say, they're the bad ones, and ignore the bad things that they're doing. So this is going to be one of the traits that groups do. I cannot believe we waited till the 70s. Well, I'm like, sure it wasn't 1870s before we finally got around to going, yeah, that's probably a bad move. Right? I mean, then, even in our culture, you start going, well, how long ago was it that we didn't allow blacks and whites to marry?
Here in the South?
Yeah. I mean, that legally we prohibited it. I mean, yeah, the 60s was when the Supreme Court finally, Virginia v. Loving. And you start going, oh, wait a second. It's our hands aren't as clean as we like to think they are. But anyway, so we're going to see the ways in which cultures do this kind of thing, where they blame others and say, oh, they're starting all these fights, and ignore what they've done. I'll give you another example, to just, since I'm obviously trying to steer clear of controversial ones today. The Israeli-Palestine issue. Like, it's very easy for us to take, because the U.S. is supposed to be friends with Israel. But does anyone know how many conventions Israel violates every time they build a new settlement? I mean, this is a serious thing. Like, Israel has violated agreement after agreement after agreement. There's a legitimate issue for people to be upset with Israel. They have made agreement after agreement and just said, we're going to keep building settlements. So it's easy for us to go, oh, look at the Palestinians for being aggressive, and ignore what Israel's doing. But what do you think the Palestinians are doing in the flip side? They're going, we're just defending our territory. And they're really aware of what Israel is doing. It's worth paying attention to. There's some good classes over in the political philosophy department where they'll make you go, wow, really? We're doing what? And it's easy for us to go, to justify our behavior, but then someone else violates it, we're like,
How dare you?
how dare you? Yeah, so we're going to say this is what things that cultures do. And it's very, very, and if we're trying to be fair, you go, wait a second, yeah, we kind of violated that one. Or think about what we're doing now. Okay, think about if another country had armed drones flying over the U.S. and were killing our civilians.
Probably frown on that.
You think we'd frown on that? But how upset are we about doing it to other countries?
Was it like the latest poll, like 70% of Americans like agreed with drone strikes?
Because we're like, well, they're bad people. They're terrorists, And it's like, okay, or innocent civilians, It's really bad. We're gonna get into some of these. But what I want to do really is start looking within cultures. I'm telling you to shy away from controversial stuff this semester. Good for me. Barbara King is an anthropologist, and she argues that there are several things that are going to influence how primates get treated in their social group. So we can use this nice little picture of me and my two brothers. There I am, a little fat Chinese kid, apparently. When I was growing up, everyone asked me if I was Chinese. And I'm like, why do you think I'm Chinese? And apparently I looked Chinese. I didn't realize that.
You don't look like your brothers.
What are you saying about my mom?
I just said you didn't look like your brothers.
I'm just saying you might have a different dad. It's really the only point I want to make here. All right. You're not the first person to point that out, though. And I look at my brothers and I go, we're related? It perplexes me. Well, the things that are going to matter. Relative status. That's what we're going to spend some time with. The next couple of chapters in your textbook are really about relative status. And so I can think about my own two brothers and I. We had very, very low status growing up. And that's going to influence the way that we experience the world. Versus, let's say, if you grow up in the projects right down the street. This is, it's really, this is like, I tutor this kid and I made him do this as his assignment. Because I'm mean. And it's a really wealthy Mountain Brook kid. I really like him, so it's nothing against him or his family. But I made him go, and it's like, 32nd Street or something? That on one end of the street is the projects, and you drive a mile up the street in $1 million homes. Is it 32nd? It's around the park.
Over on the south side? Well,
Where you
The
go to the
Holiday
Forest
area?
Park?
I'm thinking if you're going up University here towards the freeway.
Yeah.
Forest Park.
Yeah, and it's like 1 mile from each other. It's like you have projects. Do you think these kids have similar life experiences? Hobbies, activities? Yeah, so status is going to matter. So also the status you have in your family. Sex. This is not whether you have it or not, but your biological sex. So the question is, are males and females treated the same within cultures? And to sort of get a feel for how all these things are going to work, how does relative status interact with sex? In our culture, now remember, before I do this, since I've already started off controversial, remember the naturalistic fallacy. The naturalistic fallacy is when you say what is ought to be. But as a factual statement, which gender has tended to have the higher relative status? Males. And how have males, so you can start going, well, how have males tended to treat females? What? What?
I said like shit.
Okay. Speaking to the mic. I think it's on my list of words I can't say. I'm not 100%. I don't even know what the list is anymore. I think I'm just making up words, that are on it. And I draw the line like in weird places, like shit's bad. Oh, there, I already said it. I was quoting. For people at home, they couldn't hear you, and I wanted you to know what was said. Right? So they tended to treat very much like shit. And you start thinking, well, all right, well, if you go across the globe and look at high status versus lower status individuals, how have higher status tended to treat lower status? I just finished the movie The Help. Has anyone seen this?
Yeah.
Did you hate yourself when it was over?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Because I just think, What?
I like the movie.
No, I liked the movie. I'm like, that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, my,
I was never
husband's
like
mom.
that. Why would I hate myself?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I think it was just more like, I cannot believe our culture has treated
Well,
people
yeah,
like
it,
this.
it makes you sad.
That's all I meant.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to hate myself. Literally, I was just like, it wasn't like another culture 50 years ago. It was like
I know.
our culture.
Like your grandparents and your parents.
Yeah, and they were mean.
Like my husband's mom grew up with that, and she was telling us about it one day. She's like, we pretty much had slaves, like, even though she's 60 right now, so it wasn't that long ago.
That's just, I mean, so we're gonna look at the ways in which status and gender interact. Age.
Yeah.
Age is going to play a role, right? There are ways that we treat younger individuals that we consider completely acceptable to treat younger individuals that we don't think is acceptable if someone's older, right? So your parents, when you were 7, could spank you. Yeah, actually, in Alabama, you can still spank in schools. I find that really weird.
Really?
Corporal punishment is still legal in the state of Alabama in schools. The other one that's not on this list is going to be the presence of family members. In the interest of time, we're just going to focus on these 3, but she also adds to her list the presence of family. But this is going to be enough for us to go, how does a person's age and their sex and their status, how does all of this start interplaying with each other? So let's talk about status. This is a general trend among primates. If you were a male gorilla, and you were of a certain age, your back starts to turn gray or silver. We call them silverbacks, and they have high status, and they show their high status by being fairly aggressive if a lower ranking member gets out of line. They punish them. I mean, to really start seeing this, like really start looking at, say, our legal system, our economic system. I'm taking this history class now, and I do hate myself almost every day. I'm sitting there going, because the whole thing is about right now the Industrial Revolution, how they treated people in the.
Really sad.
It is sad, and you start thinking, wow, this is horrible how they treated those people back in 1830. Then you think, do we treat people like that around the globe right now? Yeah, I just bought an iPhone. I feel kind of guilty about that, knowing how they're made.
Yeah.
Do you know where your sugar comes from?
No, I don't want to.
You don't want to know, right? You know where bananas apparently are horrible. Bananas, the banana trade is apparently all the people who work in the trade are apparently very low on the totem pole.
It's all about money.
I mean, it's when you start thinking, you start seeing these things, and this is what we're going to try to look at and go, how does status matter? What are the